Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Marvin Knows Finances Show. I am Marvin Thompson, your certified financial planner with Great River Investments in Burlington, Iowa. Remember, if you would like to schedule an appointment with me, please give me a call at 319-576-2264 or go to my website at www.greatriverinvestments.com. Please go to the Contact Us section of the site and fill out the information. So once again, thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day to listen in. And for all you listeners on Google and Spotify, don't forget to click that subscribe button. If you prefer to see how the video of this podcast, please check out my YouTube page, Marvin Knows Finances, and click subscribe there as well. So folks, we are coming off a shortened trading week where we saw stocks finally break a string of 3 weekly losses. It's pretty amazing what a difference a week makes. It appears that stocks may have reached at least a temporary bottom after surrendering about half of the summer rally that we experienced. So we are continuing to see a decline in oil prices and commodities, which is pointing to the potential of moderating inflation. Fingers crossed. So for the week, here's some good news for once. We had the following results. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed up 833 points, which equated to about a 2.7% gain. The S&P 500 index closed up 143 points, which was about 3.6%. And the big mover of the week was the NASDAQ, which closed up about 481 points, or roughly 4.1%. So most of our focus continues to remain on inflation, Fed rate hikes, and the implications on what is to come. While we had a light week last week on the economic calendar, last week's Beige Book report did show that price increases were moderating in 9 out of its 12 districts. Lowering fuel prices and cooling overall demand alleviated cost pressures, especially on freight shipping rates. So that was all positive news. The report also noted some decline in prices for steel, lumber, and copper. Once this information was released, the market took the news to heart and started to move higher for the rest of the week. Other news from last week included weekly jobless claims. It was anticipated that the number would be about 240,000, and what was actually reported was 220,000, showing the labor market appears to still be on solid footing. It was the lowest level since the start of the summer, and in addition, we are still seeing rising yields on Treasury, and the spread between the 2 and 10-year continues to show that inverted yield curve that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Just to kind of remind you, once again, this is a very recessionary sign. Although we're technically not in a recession, we're seeing signs that we are. So please keep that in mind as you look forward. So last week, like I mentioned, was pretty light on the economic calendar. The upcoming week is actually what I would say is packed with information. So as we look forward, this upcoming Tuesday is probably going to be the main day for information. We will receive inflation CPI numbers at 7:30 a.m. that morning. This office is not making any predictions as to what the actual numbers will be. And as of this morning, I was reading Bloomberg is predicting a slight decrease in the year-over-year numbers. So if we do see a decrease from the 8.5% that was reported last month, that could turn out to be a positive thing. Wednesday, we will receive PPI final demand numbers. Thursday, we will receive initial jobless claims and continuing jobless claims, plus retail sales numbers. And finally, on Friday, we will receive the Consumer Sentiment Index report. And as usual, I will report all the results in next week's podcast. So once again, we're coming off of a shortened trading week. We did not have a lot of economic data, and the market responded quite well. Our hope is that this upcoming week, we will continue to see positive numbers showing reduced inflation, or at least moderating inflation. And, CPI, PPI numbers will come in good, as well as jobless claim numbers. So pretty short podcast this week, but per usual, it's now time for me to read off some disclosures to make my compliance department happy and keep me in line with the rules. So Marvin Thompson is an investment advisor representative and a registered representative with Brokers Financial member SIPC. Opinions expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of Brokers Financial. The topics discussed and opinions given are not intended to address the specific needs of any listener. Great River Investments LLC does not offer legal or tax advice. Listeners are encouraged to discuss their financial needs with the appropriate professional regarding your individual circumstances. The material represents an assessment of the market and economic environment at a specific point in time, and it is not intended to be a forecast of future events or a guarantee of future results. Forward-looking statements are subject to certain risks and uncertainty. Actual results, performance, or achievements may differ materially from those expressed or implied. Information is based on data gathered from what we believe are reliable sources. It is not guaranteed as to accuracy, does not purport to be complete, and is not intended to be used as a primary basis for investment decisions. It should also not be construed as advice meeting the particular investment needs of any investors. Please remember, past performance does not guarantee future results. Indices are unmanaged and investors cannot invest directly in an index. Unless otherwise noted, performance of indices does not account for any fees, commissions, or other expenses that would be incurred. Returns do not include reinvested dividends. The Standard & Poor's 500, also known as the S&P 500, is an unmanaged group of securities considered to be representative of the stock market in general. It is a market value weighted index with each stock's weight in the index proportionate to its market value. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is a price-weighted average of 30 actively traded blue chip stocks, primarily industrials, but includes financials and other service-oriented companies. The components, which change from time to time, represent between 15 and 20% of the market value of New York Stock Exchange stocks. The NASDAQ Composite Index is a market capitalization weighted index of more than 3,000 common equities listed on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange. The types of securities in the index include American depository receipts, common stocks, real estate investment trust, and tracking stocks. The index includes all NASDAQ listed stocks that are not derivatives, preferred shares, funds, exchange traded funds, or debentures. The Consumer Price Index, CPI, is a measure of inflation compiled by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Studies, while the Producer Price Index, PPI, is a monthly measure of change in the prices received by domestic producers. So folks, once again, I always want the opportunity to work with you and earn that opportunity to be your financial advisor. So please reach out to me at 319-576-2264 or visit my website at www.greatriverinvestments.com and fill out the Contact Us section of our website. Finally, on a personal note, I want to send out some congratulations to our local football team, the Burlington Greyhounds. Coach Krekel has started out the year at 2-1. Congratulations, guys. So all of you, thank you very much. Have a good day and talk to you next week.